If you're buying a home, you know there's one word that can cause a special kind of anxiety: appraisal, right? It feels like this giant final boss battle you have to win before you can finally get the keys. But what if I told you that really understanding this process could turn all that stress into a strategic advantage? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do.
You already know the answer, don't you? It's the home appraisal. It's that one critical moment where an independent expert weighs in, and their opinion can either give your mortgage the green light or it can send everyone right back to the drawing board.
So let's talk about this gatekeeper. What is it actually guarding? It's time to pull back the curtain and see what this whole process is really about.
Okay, here is the first thing you absolutely have to get straight. The appraisal is not for you, the buyer. It's for the lender. Seriously, you can think of it like their insurance policy. They need to make sure the house is a sound investment and that it's actually worth the massive loan they're about to give you.
Now, this is a huge point of confusion for a lot of buyers, so let's clear it up right now. An appraisal is basically a price check for the bank. Is the price right? That's all they care about. The home inspection, on the other hand, is the health checkup for you. It's what tells you if the roof is about to leak or if the furnace is on its last legs. They're two totally different but equally vital reports.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty, shall we? We're going to walk through the 5 most common appraisal issues that can completely derail a deal. But here's the good news. They all have solutions. Let's start with the big one.
This is it. The one that keeps buyers and sellers up at night. You've agreed on a price, you're excited, you're picking out paint colors, and then the appraisal report lands like a lead balloon. It says the house is worth less than what you offered. So now what do you do?
So when this happens, especially in a crazy hot market with bidding wars, the negotiation is not over. You basically have 3 main paths forward. 1, the seller can agree to lower the price to match the appraisal. Or 2, if you have the cash and you absolutely love the home, you can choose to pay the difference yourself. And finally, you can work with your agent to actually dispute the appraisal. You can provide new data, point out errors. It's a tough road for sure, but it's not impossible.
Okay, problem number 2, a house that's just been neglected. Now, an appraiser isn't a home inspector, but they absolutely will notice and flag major issues that drag down the home's value and its basic livability.
So they're looking for really obvious red flags that affect safety and value. Things like a failing roof, broken windows, even something as simple as missing handrails on a staircase. And that last one, peeling paint, is a huge deal for government-backed loans like FHA or VA, especially on older homes because of the risk of lead. Often, these things have to be fixed before the loan can even close.
Now we're moving from just simple repairs to really fundamental problems with the house itself. These are issues that make an appraiser question whether the home is safe and structurally sound enough to even live in.
And here's why this becomes an absolute deal breaker. Imagine the appraiser spots a massive crack in the foundation. A structural engineer comes out. Best case scenario, maybe it's a few $1,000s for a repair. But worst case, you could be looking at a full foundation replacement that costs over $100,000. Yeah, no lender is going to touch that deal without a serious, expensive plan in place.
So what happens when the house itself is the problem? Not because it's broken, but because it's, well, unique? Let's say you fall in love with a cool geodesic dome or a log cabin in the suburbs. The problem is, appraisers rely heavily on what we call comps, recent sales of similar homes nearby to figure out a value. If you're the only dome for 50 miles, how can they accurately price it? It becomes really, really difficult.
All right, this last problem isn't about the house at all, it's about the market around it. If home values in that specific neighborhood have been dropping, a lender sees that as a major risk. They might still approve your loan, but they could turn around and require a much larger down payment just to protect their investment from a falling market.
So, we've covered the problems, but what's actually going on inside the appraiser's head? Understanding their perspective is probably the most important key to demystifying this whole process.
This right here is the single most important thing to understand. An appraiser does not invent a number out of thin air. They're not the ones deciding what a home is worth. They are market analysts. They interpret the data, all the recent sales, the condition of the home, the neighborhood trends, to simply reflect what the market is already saying that home is worth.
And that leads us to another hard truth, especially for sellers. Just because you spent $80,000 on a brand new gourmet kitchen doesn't mean your home's value went up by $80,000. Renovations have a return on investment, absolutely, but it is rarely dollar for dollar. It's the market that decides how much those fancy new countertops are actually worth to the next buyer.
At the end of the day, you have to remember that appraisers are bound by a strict ethical code. It's called USPAP. And what it means is they must be neutral referees. They have no stake in whether your deal goes through or not. Their only job is to provide an unbiased, professional opinion based on the facts, even if it's not the number everyone was hoping to hear.
And here's the thing. Understanding appraisals isn't just about this one transaction when you're buying a home. This knowledge actually becomes a powerful tool for you throughout your entire life as a homeowner.
I mean, this knowledge can literally save you thousands of dollars down the road. You want to refinance to a lower interest rate? You're going to need an appraisal. Want to tap into your home's equity to pay for a big renovation? You'll need an appraisal. And my personal favorite? Once your home's value has gone up enough, a new appraisal can prove you have over 20% equity, which allows you to finally get rid of that expensive private mortgage insurance, or PMI, payment every month.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. How do you take all of this information and turn what feels anxious and scary into a concrete game plan that makes you feel empowered?
As you go through this, just always remember these key things. First, the appraisal is actually your friend. It's protecting you from overpaying. Second, you have a right to see that report, so read it, check it for accuracy. Third, remember that market data sets the value, not just emotion or wishful thinking. And maybe most of all, see the appraiser as a neutral expert, not someone you're fighting against.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. By reframing the appraisal not as some scary roadblock, but as your shield, you completely transform the experience. It's no longer something to be feared, but a critical piece of information that empowers you to make one of the biggest financial decisions of your life with total confidence.